hands, I have the new Nars 2023 holiday collection. At this point, it's tradition to pick up the Nars stuff. This is the exact same items that they launched last year in terms of one eyeshadow palette and one cheek palette, and they've been launching the cheek palette for years, and I buy them every year because I'm always in love with their cheek palettes. Not necessarily the eyeshadows, though they've had a really good couple of years. So you can purchase all of the new items from the holiday collection on the Nars website. I'll have that linked down below. And there's more than just what I'm showing today. They have this mini Afterglow liquid blush set, which I did see they also have at Sephora. I'm not a big fan of this formula personally, but a lot of people do love it. So this is a great value to get multiple shades. We have the powder, and then there's a lot of the little kind of ornament style holiday kits. Oh, it just makes me so excited. Christmas is my favorite time of year, and holiday stuff for makeup always comes out in like September/October, but it just gets me so excited for the holiday season. So there's a lot that you can check out over on their website. Today we're just going to be covering the two pieces that I picked up. So we're going to get started with the new limited edition Endless Nights eyeshadow palette. This year they launched a 9-pan palette. Personally, I like the bigger ones, and for me, the Nars eyeshadow palettes for the holiday have been a little hit or miss, but the last couple of years, they've been major hits. Even last year's, which was the Stargaze palette, I really liked the colors and the looks that I got with this one. But I'm looking at this year's color story-wise. It's as unoriginal as it can get with Nars. I have these shades so many times over, I don't even feel the need to compare because I have all of these shades in my Nars collection. But I did have one of you comment saying, you know, how even though the color stories are repetitive, that the quality of Nars is always. So we're going to be the judge of that today. I'm going to let you know how the quality on these are. So this Endless Night eyeshadow palette is $49, and it says it's a holiday edition palette of the 9 lustrous party-ready eyeshadow shades. It says it's the ultimate party palette. I don't party, but an unforgettable night. Let's see. I'm looking at the Nars website right now. It might be a useful resource to you because they actually have some really great guides on what looks you can create with the palette. So that might be something that you want to take a look at if you want to purchase this. So here is the box that the eyeshadow palette comes in. The palette is made in Canada and has a 12-month shelf life. Sorry, it's a little blown out here, but the packaging is super duper cute. I love this little glitter ombre right here. Very holiday-y, but not obnoxious. I actually really like this year's packaging. I thought last year's Stars was a little juvenile. This one, I am loving the white and gold. I think it looks so sophisticated. And then here are the 9 eyeshadows. So you have 3 mattes, 1 satin, and then 5 look like a metallic / shimmering shade. We'll go over each of the shades individually as they describe them on the website. I mean, if you're familiar with Nars, I feel like they all kind of have this pinky kind of look to them. So these are not completely new shades, but like I already see a look that I think is going to be gorgeous, starting with the brow and then these 3 shades. That's going to be pretty. Even this shade. Okay, anyways, let me get to swatching here. So this shade is Let Loose. Ooh, that feels creamy and lovely. Media, Pulp Fiction, and then Starlit. I really like how the shimmers are quite refined looking, at least these 2 right here. So we have a shimmering peach champagne, really smooth. A sparkling iridescent lilac, kind of looks a little more champagne to me, but very pretty. A satin mulberry, and then sparkling bronze gold. That one did not swatch well, so I'm going to go over that again. Then we have After Dark. Oh, that one feels so good. Bus Stop, Young Heart. This is the matte row. Moonlight, and then we'll get to Velvet Rope as the last swatch, which I can clean these fingers off. This shade immediately, like there's nothing new or special about it, but it's catching my eye. So we have that metallic purple umber is how they describe it. Shimmering ruby red. Young Heart, which is a matte soft blush pink. And then a matte raspberry. And then we have Velvet Rope. a matte plum brown. I'm sorry guys, I just realized I said I was going to start swatching horizontally, but I totally forgot. But since this palette doesn't have as many colors, I think it's fine, and you can get a good idea of the colors that you're getting. You can see how they swatch. The main point of concern for me is this shade right here. It just didn't swatch pretty, but the rest look very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and do one eye off camera, and you'll see. This look is good. So I put on my Kaleidos Tone Activator. I'm going to use a Rephr 16 brush, and you can see we're doing a halo eye. So I'm going to start off with this blushy shade, which is very pretty, and I'm just going to run it through the entire crease. Very smooth, easy application. I didn't have any problems with quality, except for one thing that I will mention when we get there, but starting off with this nice haze. And then, since we're doing a halo eye, we're going to start to build up a little bit of depth. So inner and outer corner is where this next shade is going. And this is going to bring a ton of warmth to the look. So I'm suggesting if you don't want such a warm look, skip on this shade, because I can see myself not wanting super warm looks with this palette. And it's possible, just like work with these four, but majority of the looks are going to be pretty warm with this palette. And I'm wiping off my brush, and I'm just going to go into a little bit more of the blushy pink, just like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and take a small brush, and I'm going to go into this satin shade. Honestly, just with this style of look, I feel like this didn't do much. It did add a little bit of satinness, but I did it on the other eye, so I'm doing it here. But it is kind of an unnecessary step for this look. But the satin color is really versatile, because you can use it in the crease if you want as a deepening shade. Don't be afraid of satin shades. In fact, they can be very, very flattering on mature eyelids. So we're just doing that, and then we're going to finish off with the deepest color in the palette, which I'm going to periodically throughout this look come back to this shade just to keep the depth in this outer area, but I placed the color down. This is a Rephr 14 brush that I'm using for all this detail work. By the way, we're just going to swish it back and forth. And then I'm quickly going to go in with a little bit more of the blush shade, because I want some depth up here. And then I'm going to go back into my favorite Kaleidos Tone Activator, and I'm going to get a small synthetic brush. This is a Luxie 246 brush that I got years ago in an Ipsy bag or BoxyCharm. One of the two. Can't remember. But I'm going to do a halo cut crease. It doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm just kind of mapping that shape out. And then make sure we brighten up in the center here. Okay, and then to start it off, I just want the brightest color along the top. So I'm going to use the second brightest shade in the palette, and I'm just gonna press right along where I applied it. The shade is really pretty. It's not super duper glimmery, but it has a really lovely smooth application. Nars shadows are fantastic for mature skin, especially these shimmer shades. Not the glimmery shades, but definitely the shimmery shades. And then I'm going to go into this shade. Now, this shade is the only one where I'm like, about. It's pretty messy, and I want to show you with brush application how it looks. Okay, it's totally applying way better than the other eye, because I'm kind of pushing the product up and then patting it on my brush and tilting my head back. But I do recommend using a wet brush for a shade like this shade in particular, or a finger. I'm going to use my finger. But it's not the easiest to apply, and it's messy, so this is my least favorite shade in the palette. And then I'm going to use this shade, which is a little piecey and messy as well, but not as bad as that bronze shade. And we're going to use that to meet the matte colors. Like so. And I'm going to go back in to the matte colors just so we can get more of a seamless look. And then we're going to use this lightest shade right in the inner corner. Super duper pigmented and brightening. What a gorgeous shade this is. It would be pretty to put right in the center here, or even if you want more contrast, just to draw it up here. Beautiful. Okay, let me put on some concealer really quick. And then really quickly, just for some simple lower lash line work, we're We're going to use the blush shade all along the lower lash line. And then I'm going to use the medium shade, inner and outer. Same thing with the deepest shade. And then we're just going to use the two shimmers on the main part of the eyelid. So I'm going to start off with the bronzy shade. Just going to be careful to lightly press so we don't get too much fallout. Just to bring some gleam back to the eyes. And then this rosy shade, which I swear Nars has like a billion of, but still gorgeous. Boom. Okay, so that's it for the eyeshadow. Let me do my liner and lashes real quick. So now let's talk the blush palette. So this is the All That Glitters Light Reflecting Cheek Palette. Throwback if you remember All That Glitters 21 YouTube channel and All That Glitters MAC single eyeshadow shade. Woo, that threw me back. This is the new limited edition, holiday edition palette of 6 blushes in the Luminous Light Reflecting formula. So that, I was like, light reflecting formula. Is that going to be the formula of last year's Rising Cheek palette, which I liked this palette. It's not like an all-time favorite formula of mine. Or this is the Nars Orgasm on the Beach palette, and this formula is my favorite formula from Nars, blush-wise. So I'm like, is this the light reflecting formula? I wasn't sure. But anyways, again, you can go on the Nars website. They have some tutorials of where and how to apply the shades if you need. The palette itself is made in Italy with a 12-month shelf life, and the packaging is going to mirror exactly how the eyeshadow palette looks. And then we have 6 shades. And I was looking at the formulas, and this looks quite similar to my favorite Orgasm on the Beach palette. So let's see, shall we? So we have Silver Screen. Oh yes, Vertigo. And City Lights. I am officially so excited for this palette. So here is a metallic cool pink highlight, especially for medium skin tone, a metallic brilliant red, and a satin persimmon orange. Beautiful. My cheeks are going to be all kinds of colors today so that I can show you these. Then we have another shimmering champagne gold. A Hotspot is the name, and then Sabrina. So this is that shimmering champagne gold called Wild Shade. Again, highlight shade is what it looks like. Soft satin peach, and then a satin terracotta red brown. You guys, this is the same formula. Yeah, this is the same formula as my favorite Nars palette. I will say this feels like a little bit more creamy in the older palette, but they look the same. This is the same formula. Okay, so I mean, I'm always excited about this blush palette, but this year I'm even more excited because last year's was kind of like a baked gelée formula, which they do. I forgot about that.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Okay. I forgot that happens. That's not a new thing, but they have this baked gelée formula that they do periodically, most often for the holiday collections, which I'm gonna be honest, like it works, it's fine, but it's not my favorite. I don't think, at least in my collection, there hasn't been another palette that I've at least picked up with this light reflecting formula since this palette, the older one. So I'm stoked. Come on in. We're keeping the lights down so that you can see the true color, but I am going to pack the color on a little bit more vivid than I would for every day because I want to make sure you can really see the color. So I'm wiping off my blush brushes. So I want to start off actually with the highlight shade. I'm going to have all the colors on my cheeks, so I'm going to look crazy. But I feel like this is a metallic cool pink. Let's see if this is highlighty on me. Oh, it absolutely is. So this, for most of us, is going to work as a highlight. That pink sheen, pretty strong. It could also be a nice blush topper as well, especially if you're more on the fair side, and it could be a gorgeous eyelid color. I like that. Okay, then the other one that's highlighty is this one down here. It's a gold. It's not super bright on my skin tone, but if you're just a wee bit darker than me, it will totally work. And I mean, it's working on me. There is like a super small cast when I look straight on, but it's not bad. So yeah, for me, these do work as highlights and they look really glazed on the cheek. They're not too emphasizing in the texture here. Very, very pretty. All right, so now we're gonna do lighter shades first. So this one, Hotspot, I'm very curious if this is gonna show up in me. This palette has really fantastic variety. I think this is my new favorite Nars palette because not only is it my favorite formula, but the colors are super different from one another. A lot of times with these Nars palettes, sometimes I feel like they look the same on the cheek. These all have their place. Call me crazy, but it's like they listen to my reviews. For the last few, I'm totally kidding, but for the last few years, I've been asking for more of this formula and I've been asking for the shades to actually be different from one another. So that's Peach. Okay, and then let's see, I'm really curious how this shade's going to look. This is that terracotta red brown. Oh my goodness, wait a second. I was worried, but that pool's definitely more red on the cheek than it looks brown. This is a pretty fall blush. Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to get the color off of my cheeks. We're going to dim it down, though, with my foundation brush. But you guys, both of those shades look super different, too. Okay, let's keep building here. I'm also very curious about this persimmon orange shade. So let's see. I love it. It does have some sheen to it. These two are more like a satin on the cheek. These are not matte, by the way, so if you do have texture, just be careful. I'd recommend if you want to use this palette, if you have a lot of texture on your cheek, you can always go down with a matte first and then lightly finish it off. But, I mean, I have texture on my cheek. It's not too much, but sometimes shimmery blushes can emphasize it. It doesn't look unflattering on me, and this shade is also extremely unique. I do not have a lot of colors like this. I really like this. Okay, last one. I'm kind of scared for this one. This is a metallic bright red. I don't normally go for bright red blushes, so I'm using a light hand, but okay. I was expecting to come into this review and be like, meh, right? Solid, good formula, but repetitive. I was not expecting for this blush palette to be perfect. Everything that I want in a blush palette. Truly unbelievable. I don't think I'm going to be reaching for this metallic bright red a lot, but on deeper skin tones. Okay, let me just wax poetic here about this palette. Love the formula. My favorite blush formula from Nars here. I do find it to be a unique formulation. You know, it's metallic. Oh my gosh. Opening these though. This is a common trend. Nars, if you're listening, please make these easier to open. I say it every year. Here we go. Okay, anyways. A beautiful metallic formula that's not super unflattering, right? You have 2 highlights, 4 blush shades, all 4 shades cover every base. You have red, you have like a peachy shade, you have an orange shade. The only thing missing in this palette is like a true pink blush, but we don't need that because that's trending. Every other palette has it. Beautiful formula, beautiful colors, and it's going to work for so many skin tones. So I didn't think this review was going to go over super amazing. I thought it was going to be solid, but this blush palette, I'm so stinking excited about it. And you know, as I was pulling things for this video, I did pull out a couple blush palettes to compare to. It's not even worth comparing to because this one truly has different colors. Like if we compare it to the colors on the Orgasm on the Beach, okay, they do look kind of close in pan, I guess, a little bit, but they are they different? Wait, let me take that back. So I would say, if you had the Orgasm on the Beach, because this came out a few years ago and yours might be getting old, this new palette is a great replacement for it. I am so excited. So overall, here are my thoughts. The eyeshadow palette, I mean, if you have 1 or 2 Nars palettes, you probably have all of the colors in here. So it's not special in that way, but the formula is very, very nice with the exception of the shade right here that I didn't love, but the rest are buttery, smooth, just like Nars usually is. The last 2 years, I've preferred those eyeshadows over this one. So this one is not my favorite launch from them, but it's good quality. It's fine if you are interested in something like this in the color story. But the blush palette, unexpectedly, an amazing discovery. This is going to be one of my new favorites. I feel like, I know I have all of the Hourglass palettes in my drawer too, so this is going to be fighting for some attention because you know how I feel about my Hourglass palettes. But this is a new Nars staple for me. My favorite blush formula from them ever. What a shock. So definitely recommend the blush palette. Not really the eyeshadow palette, though it's fine. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video and subscribing to my channel. And I'll catch you tomorrow. I think tomorrow's video is finally the concealer video that I promised you weeks ago. Alright guys, see you in the next one. Good one.